Today we will be doing a simple tutorial on using Photon tool together with a simple VR package. So what you need to have is Unity project and download the Photon tool networking. You can search it in your asset store, and also the SVR packages. I have both imported both the SVR and also Photon. So make sure you import it before you continue to this tutorial. And for the Photon part, you need to have an account for your Photon and create a project here to get your project ID. That's the part that we need to set up for the Photon. And to start using Photon with SVR, first we go to the upper menu with the SVR, we click on the SDK setup. So this will show a windows for us to set up the use of Photon Unity Networking tool. So in this case, we are just focusing on this. So we just take this and then click on setup. Do not click others SDK. And while we're waiting for the reloading, you can actually go to the website and then create your project. I have already done mine, so you can do it for yourself. Okay, so now it has finished loading, and you should be able to see at the bottom we should have a new menu Photon, and we can click on the Photon and setup setting. So it will show our and the inspector for your Photon setting, and you should paste your ID get from your Photon project here, and then just click enter. So you should be set up ready for developing Photon. So in this case, we will be using two scenes, one for the lobby and one for the main part of the game. And by that we create a new scene, name it game, and this we rename it to lobby. And inside this lobby, I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to use the sample plug here. Go to SVR, Photon, and then Network Manager. You must select a new thing. So we create an empty game object. And then while selecting the empty game object over here, we click on the SVR, Photon, and then Network Manager. So this item should be changed name into a Network Manager and have Network Room and Network Manager script attached to it. So this is what is provided inside the SVR packages. As you can see here, the first thing you will use is Network Manager. When we are having this tick connect on awake, this means that while this scene started, it will automatically connect to the network, the Photon network. And then on connected, we can either just choose direct join room, or we can just use this on connected callback function, and then we drag the network room. And by using the network room function, create room. So this will automatically create a new room or create a new room. And then here is what we can set for the name of the room. You can either use a predefined name or using a text. so the user can input the name by themselves. I'm going to show how to do this. So over at the scene, and just create a new input field. Over here, set it back to the original video position. So this is the input field. And change it to room. Over at the network manager, we drag this input field text into the room name text, and we don't have to change anymore for the room name. As long as this is set, the system will ignore this. And here we can set how many players we want to have, or how maximum and minimum number, and by ticking open and visible, the other player can join this room. So if I'm using an input field name for the room, then I will not be using connect on awake. Instead, I will be using a button. Change it to join. And then we will be using the button instead. So when we click on this button, we will call the function from network manager to join the server, to connect them to the server. To connect. So this is basically the same thing as we connect on the web. Instead, we use a button to call the function to join the server, and then after joining the server, we will be creating a room by using the variable here, by using the room name here. And after we have successfully joined the room, we can load our scene to the next. We can load the scene to the game scene. We can create a new object, and then while selecting the new game object, we go to SVR Photon and then network load scene. So here we can set the name of the scene. Here we set net game, so we also set as game, and you can actually put some delay before loading the scene, and make sure to take this scene load, synchronize load scene, so that every player can synchronize their load scene after loading into the game. And for the AR VR part, we just leave it unticked because we are just focusing on multiplayer. So while the join room is success, we put network scene loader here, and then network scene loader, we call the function load scene. So the sequence is, first the user will input the room name, and then they will click the join, and the join will call to the network manager to connect to the server, and then the network manager will connect to the server. Once it is connected, it will create a new room by using this text from the input from the user, and the room has been successfully joined or created. It will load the scene into our game scene. And now we can try to add something in our game scene, such as a plane for the flow, and make sure to position it back to the center. And we can make it bigger. Let's see here. Okay. Then other than the flow, we can create some, we can create some sphere as the flow, and then drag it out. Click on Control D to duplicate, and then to make it interesting, we put some material, change the color, and then apply to the board. So this is our game scene. So by now we should be able to try this out, and then in the build setting, don't forget to put our game, the scene inside here. First is the lobby scene, followed by the game scene, and we don't have to build because we're just running it in the editor. Make sure you have a good network environment which does not block Photon, and go back to the lobby scene, and while we click play, so you will ask us the room name, and then we can just say room 123 and then click join. So we can see at the console here, it will connect to the server, and then it will show join room success, and the client is in the room 123. So over here, if the other player has joined this room, so you can see each other. But in here, we don't have any avatar or the character, the model for the character, so the player will not be able to see. Okay. So that works out very well for the first one. And by that, we can now try to make a network object. So a network object is the object that is formed by using Photon network, and it can be manipulated by all the players together with the synchronization of the position, rotation, the speed, and etc. So we already have a ball. We can try with the capsule, and we can actually name it to become a body or capsule. We just put it back to capsule, and then what I do is just resetting the position to 0, 0, 0, and while selecting the capsule, we go to SVR, Photon, Network Object. So we can choose what we want to be synchronized across the object. We pick the common, position, rotation. The color is optional, but in this case we pick it, and then we pick the velocity. And then for the interaction type, we can use any of these. So for the touchscreen is for when you're building a mobile game, and the upper one is all for the keyboard or mouse. We will try to use left mouse select. So select is basically you need to click on that object. If press is, you can press on anywhere in the screen, and it will react, it will interact. And then we click create. Okay, so the capsule will be gone, and it will be recreated as a prefab inside the resources folder. And then while we already have a network object, we need to have something that actually spawn the object in the environment and to manage it. So what we do is we create another empty game object. For selecting this, we go to SVR, Photon, and then network object handler. So every one of it, the network object require one network object handler, so it does come in a pair. So while we have this name capsule, why don't we just change the name to be capsule network object handler, so it's easier for recognition. And what we do is over here, we need to drag the network object here. object here, the capsule, the one we want to work with, and then I will just reset it. Okay, and then where we want to spawn it. So now we have the transformation of none. We can actually set, like, let's say we want to spawn it at where the ball is. So I've set transformation to ball, and then while we click this, it will spawn here at the position of the ball, but it's not parent to anything, it's standalone. So in the case if we parent it to the ball or we spawn it, it will be spawned as the child of the ball, but at the same position as well. Okay, so in this case I think I will just use the network object handler as the parent, and for the positions I will not use the transform. I just use the exact position where it could be at the fixed position, because the next thing I want to do is to randomize the position while we spawn it. So while we already have this, we need to have something to call the function, because this button we cannot actually click this inside the gameplay. So this button is actually only works for the debugging to test where it will spawn and etc. So what we do is we create a script called spawn network capsule. You can change it the name as you want, and then double click, and you can see inside the script. You can pause to copy the script, but I will explain it briefly. So because we are working with SVR, so we use the namespace of SVR, and over here we have network object handler, which we'll be using to store the capsule network object handler, and also the maximum XYZ and minimum XYZ. And this is used to randomly change the position of the object. So every time in the update, we'll just get the input, get key down, and then change. If the key down is the enter key, the return key, we will spawn the object using the spawn network object function from the handler, and then we will change the position to any randomized position. So if you want to make it bigger size, you can try to change 10 to 10, and then change to 10, and then save it. Okay, so coming back here, what we can do after it has been finished loading, we just simply drag this over here. So you can change it over here also, anything you want, and then we drag this inside here, the network object handler. And then the next thing I want to show you is how we can change the property of this capsule. We double click this thing, and then we assign a material to it. Okay, the green color material. You can see over in the inspector, there is this network object, and on interaction, while we do the interaction of left mouse select, we can actually call some function to be fired and to execute. And for that, I also made a simple one called change color. So I will show you the code. So I will have this game object role. So this game object is actually gonna be our capsule. So capsule. And then inside here we have a public function to randomly change the color of the material of Go object while this function execute. So here we will get the mesh renderer, the material, and then change the color. Make sure you have this float F in this means it's a float, so it will rendering change the color by using the RGB. Okay, after that, select the capsule, wait for the compiler. Okay, for the capsule, and then we add the component, change color. So having this change color and then the go object, game object, we just drag the capsule here. Okay, and over at the on interaction, we are actually going to call change color, random change. So every time we interact by using left mouse select, or you can change here anything, and then it will call to randomly change the color of this capsule. Save, then back to the scene, and now we can try with the lobby again. Play, and we just give a name, join a room connected to server, join the room. Okay, everything is good. And over here, when we click on the enter, because we have set it here, when we enter, then it will call this network object handler to spawn this network object. So we click, it will be here for the first one. And when we click another time, the position is randomized. And then we click another time, it will be randomized too. It will be around this range because we set it to 111 and maximum to 10 10 10. So apart from that, when we click on this capsule, it will change color. And just left clicking it. So everything you can change on what interaction type of you want, like the button or anything. You can just use. And this actually, the color can be seen if you have multiplayer. So this is basically how you can try to work with the Photon function provided by SVR. First you set up, and then you have the network manager and the log sync, and then have the network object handler. These two are the most important part in the game. And the upper part is for the initialization of the lobby, and these two is for the game scene. And you can check out the sample scene and also the Photon documentation. And if you want to do some input for your character to move around, I suggest you to watch to have a watch on this Photon networking tutorial. Let's see tutorial. I will put the link of this into the the video, and here is where you can start it to do. It is at the end, it will have something that you can control, and most of the part has already been covered. You just have to start with building the players. Make sure you check out this tutorial for some of the most basic and important of the usage of the Photon. And that would be most of the tutorials.